Yeah, this is my introduction, and let's begin with the next slide as well. Okay, now, yeah, so game design and development simplified. Well, game design, as we know, is a process of development of games. It's a process of creating, interactive experience for the players to enjoy, and it involves the combination of creativity, technology, collaboration, and bringing these virtual fantastical and fantasy worlds to life, and just giving these experiences for the users or for the viewers to really enjoy, and it's really pleasurable. Yeah, on the other hand, animation, as we know, is basically, as we know, animation is an illusion of moving photos and moving images, where we think like it's animating. It's actually moving images that we see on the screen, right? So it's an art of bringing these static or moving images or characters to life through movement and visual storytelling. It's a technique that involves creating a series of images, frames, or computer generated graphics to simulate motion. This is the best way to explain animation. Now, this guy is the most, he's called one of the most prominent people and one of the pioneers in animation. You must have heard of this guy, Walt Disney, right? Now, can just somebody ping me in the chat if he knows Walt Disney and what does he know about him? Or if anybody does have heard of Walt Disney. This is the father of animation in of the world. Yeah, Donald Duck, Looney Tunes. I think Looney Tunes are I think are from Warner Brothers, but Disney as a whole industry has revolutionized and has become one of the most prominent studios in this day and age. Let's move ahead. Okay. So what you can see here is there's a building, stylized and some sort of outlandish building you can see here. It's right near the beach or a trench, you can say. And all that I'm gonna ask is what do you think has made all of this? And I'm gonna show you in the next slide that what are the elements that are used to create this. 3D modeling as a concept is just taking out the shapes and building something out of it. It's uh like we've played blocks in childhood, right? So that's exactly what 3D modeling is. You take shapes, you manipulate them, you create something, and that's what we call 3D modeling, right? Now let's see. Okay, so as you can see, these things are what we call 3D assets. 3D assets combine themselves and make into a 3D scene. What we can see here is this is some of the elements that we can see on the screen separately. And in order to create a 3D scene, we've combined them all. So when you see them separately, they don't look that complex. But when you combine them into a scene, and then it becomes a complex 3D visually stunning scene. Look at this, how beautiful this is, and all we've done is combine these things and we've created something out of it. That's how easy 3D modeling is. That's how fun this is. That's how pleasurable to work as a 3D artist is, because you create something that you're very passionate about. You really like doing what you do, and something that you take the fun from it while doing it. Now, the previous slide, what we can see here is 3D as an animation, as a game design is one of the concepts, and the other concept is 2D game design or 2D. What 2D here means is two-dimensional, where there is no depth when we can see it. Okay, 3D has three-dimensional depth, so, three-dimensional, and the third dimension is depth, height, breadth, and depth, right? Okay. So this scene that we're seeing right now is a 3D scene where we can see the depth. We can see how round this is. We can see how how farther the things is, how closer the thing is. But as we go forward, there are two concepts in game design: a 2D game design and a 3D game design. What we actually saw was 3D game design. Now, this scene right here is one of the most prominent examples of 2D game design, right? Okay, let's see. So right now we can see is a big this somewhat of a shaping, what can you say, this house or a building, let's say. There are two people right here. Some things, this bushes, this these stone bells, the mountains, and created these, this gates. Have you seen Lord of the Rings? Has anybody seen Lord of the Rings? This concept has been taken from Lord of the Rings. Look at these gates and everything. So reference is one of the most important thing that we use in game design and animation. We take references, we create something, we manipulate them and create a concept. This is what we call concept art. Graphic designers in these game design and animation courses are what people who take up these concept gaming arts, and the companies ask them to create a very conceptual artwork that they do, and they submit it to the company, and the company takes the idea out of it and creates them in 3D. That's what a graphic designer that's what a graphic designer does in these game studios and animation studios. Let's move ahead. So I want you to look at this scene once again and take something out of it. And let's see in the next slide what the scene comprises of. Right. So this is one of the scene, and look at this scene. First of all, they've created one concept art of just a sketch, nothing else, just a sketch. Then they created a concept of a building or a house. They've further created them into further two houses. Then they put lighting into it. Then they've chosen their colors of what colors their house is gonna be. And this whole uh, image that you're seeing is a concept art document, right? In the previous scene, we've seen how a sketch becomes the art. This is a sketch right here in the left bottom side of the screen. There's a sketch. There's a concept artist has created himself on a piece of paper. Now, on a piece of paper is fine. For ideating, it's fine, but we need it on computer. So for the piece of paper to become a computer generated image, we'll create this whole scene into this. How are we going to create it? With the tools that we know, that we've learned, like Photoshop, like Illustrator, like Animator, like Corel Draw. These are some of the tools that you need to create this image into a computer generated image. Now, after creating this, it still looks very 2D, like you cannot see you, it's still not very visibly stunning. So after that, we create shadows, highlights, lighting, then we render it into a finished image, just as we can see right here. This is the whole process of 2D concept art, of 2D game design concepts, right? Okay, let's move ahead. Now, what ImagineXP is offering, I'm going to discuss what ImagineXP is offering with this program. Okay, first we're going to look at what the program comprises of, what it describes. Through a collaborative and highly practical industry-driven approach, game design is being taught in ImagineXP through ImagineXP, partnering with these universities. And I'm so sorry. Um, this course provides, robust career opportunities for students not only to develop their aesthetic and technical competence, but to express creativity and conceptualize projects. Working with these major big studios, and this is something that it's a studio course, if you know what I mean. It's not as much as theory. It's a very studio course where we learn from doing things. Like, so it's not theory courses can be very time consuming and can be very tiresome, but this course, I can tell you for sure that this is the most fun thing that you'll do, and this is the most viable career option that is here right now in this day and age, right? Let's talk about the value proposition of this course. Value proposition means what value this course can integrate into you for the companies to hire you, right? So India is, as you can say that India is becoming, in the scope of gaming and animation, India has multiplied in these 10 years, and India is becoming the most hot destination for the international gaming industry as well. Not just gaming industry, it's the VFX industry in India is also one of the most prominent. As you can see, these Marvel and DC movies, for an example, in these Marvel and DC movies, as you can see in the end credits, there are a lot of Indian studios working in them, lot of Indian artists, lot. So as as far as value is considered, if the reason is considered, I think this course is one of the best that we can see here. Okay, let's see what are the learning outcomes of what you're gonna learn with this course. Students will be able to design animated games that are highly desirable in the gaming industry. Students will also be able to work with ease on tools and softwares that are in demand in this entertainment business. Student will be highly skilled in rudiments of narrative. Storytelling and character building is one of the most important aspects in game design and animation, because as we know, RPG games, visual telling stories, these short videos, they all need a storytelling. So narrative and storytelling is one of the most important functions of a game designer and animator. They really need to know how to act and how to write stories. Students will demonstrate the ability to be creative, to explore and emerge with renewed perceptions in order to innovate and add to game designing practices. As part of this practical focused curriculum, students will develop professional quality designs. This is something that ImaginXP is very good at, and they train very well. And you know, in the past, we've had really good responses in terms of industry accepting our students. And one of the most important things that we teach here is just going along with the technology. You really need to be along the technology. You really need to be up to the game and up to the trends that are going on right here in the industry. Now let's talk about the job titles that students take up after learning this course or after graduating from this course. You can become a game artist. A game artist is also a 2D, or can also be 2D game artist, or you can be 3D artist as well. Um, Environment artist, asset artist, technical artist, or a character artist are some people who are game artists. A broad category is game artist, and the subcategories are these environmental artists or asset artists, technical artists. We can discuss these things in deep, but let's skip this and let's move ahead. Okay, freelance designer are some people who do not work for a company, but the company hires them separately for a project by project basis. Right. Animator, as we all know, visual effects artist or lead designer, art production manager. These are some of the job titles that you see in those Marvel end credit scene as well. Yeah. Game designer and game artist are two different people right here. We really need to know this. Okay, so game designer is someone who does everything, not just game artist people not just what game artist does, but does everything. Right. What's the difference here is a game artist can be called a 3D modeler, texture artist, lighting artist, but a game designer is someone who comprises these things and takes all these elements from the game artist and composites these things into a game engine. Who is an expert in a game engine like Unreal Engine 4, Unreal Engine 5, Unity 3D, and various. Now, special effects artists are also the people who work closely with game artists and VFX artists. Special effects artists are also, you can call VFX artists as special effects artists also, but in today's world, things have changed a little bit. Um, so special effects artists can be a 2D artist as well and can be a 3D artist as well. These are the people who create, particle effects or what are particle effects? Particle effects you can, for an example, if you want to show fire in your scenes, so that is a particle effect. If you want to show, if you want to show a water gun or a bullet being fired from a gun, all these things are special effects done by these special effects artists. Right. Let's move ahead. Okay. Industry demand for game designers and animators. Right. What are the industries? We're going to talk about what are the industries that need game design or game artists or animators. So one of the most prominent industry, as we all know, is film and television. 3D artists and animators contribute a lot in the creation of visual effects, animated feature films, TV shows, and commercials. They work on character modeling, rigging, animation, VFX elements, such as explosions, creatures, and creating these stunning visual environments as well. Okay, so for an example, let's talk about the recent VFX prominent movie that you've seen and you really like. Okay, let's in the chat window, let's talk about everybody will name one VFX prominent movie that they've seen and they love. Okay, let's go. Multiverse of Madness, amazing, amazing movie. One of the most important Marvel movie I can say, and heavy on VFX, very heavy on VFX. Ant-Man and Quantumania, exactly. Ant-Man and Quantumania, exact. It's also very heavy on VFX. It's one of the best movies. A really serious movie though, in terms of Marvel. Avatar 2, best best VFX I have ever seen. Honestly, Marvel movies, and if compared to Avatar 2, they're nothing. Trust me. Avatar 2, The Way of the Water, it's amazing. Okay, so gaming industry is one of the most prominent industry that we know in terms of game design. Who people who hire game designers and animators. Gaming industry, as we all know, um, you know, heavily relies on 3D artists and animation and creating characters, objects, environments, special effects. They contribute in developing by designing and animating 3D assets, creating these interactive, visually stunning, environments and visual effects. So, architecture and real estate is one of the most lucrative industries that promise really high salaries and functions. 3D artists create realistic 3D architectural visualizations, walkthroughs, and flyovers. These visualizations basically help the customers to understand what the architects really tells them or what the architects really means. Real estate developers, interior designers showcase their design, simulate the lighting conditions, and basically they communicate their vision into clients and stakeholders. Basically, you might have seen these projects somewhere or the other in your life. Now look at this. This is a very uh, basic kind of architecture visualization video where a architect has designed this 3D model in order for the client to understand how the 3D model will finally look like. Okay, let's look at this. The gate, minute details where the gate ends, where the gate begins, where the this ramp, how thick the ramp is. Everything is mentioned in the video or created by the 3D artist with minute details in mind. This is also a floor plan video, by the way, where basically tells what the floor plan will, how it's gonna look like, where the pool will be. Product design and manufacturing. It's one of the most what you can say engineering type of an industry. This is which needs very calculative and very mathematical measurements to design a product. But once you design a product, you really need to ideate the product into your stakeholders or management, and where that is where 3D artist comes in. They take that ideated product in on that page, and they create the exact thing in that 3D modeling software. They render the product and they animate it through very nice animation videos that you've seen of iPhone commercials, or commercials, any commercials I can say. एडवर्टाइजिंग एंड मार्केटिंग, आपने ये वीडियोस देखे होंगे 3D बिलबोर्ड्स के, आजकल काफी काफी चल रहे हैं। किसी ने देखे हैं 3D वीडियोस, 3D बिलबोर्ड्स के वीडियोस, प्रोमिनेंट मार्केट्स में फीचर हो रहे हैं आजकल, राइट? तो वो कुछ भी नहीं, वो 3D आर्टिस्ट ही बना रहे हैं। 3D आर्टिस्ट, एनिमेटर्स, गेम आर्टिस्ट, उनका काम ही यही है करने का। और ये बेसिकली कुछ भी नहीं है, मार्केटिंग है। वो आप वो वीडियो इतना अच्छी तरह बनाते हो कि जो देखने वाला है वो देखता रह जाता है, और वो प्रोडक्ट देखता है तो उसे लगता है कि हाँ, ये प्रोडक्ट किसी अच्छी कंपनी का है, इतना अच्छा वीडियो उन्होंने बनाया है। वीडियो ऐसा बनाते हो कि आप कैप्टिवेट कर देते हो यूजर को या फिर ऑडियंस को, तो वो दे टेंड टू लीन ऑन बाइंग द प्रोडक्ट. Now, this industry is one of the most usable, or one of the most lucrative industries, to be honest. They pay really high for making these videos, because these videos that you make for medical and scientific community, they really need to be precise, and precision is what matters with this industry. So they really pay really high amount of money for these videos to be created. What we can see here is anatomical images, and these models of medical illustrations, surgical simulations, and educational videos for medical people. These visualizations basically help them in their medical training, and educating them about how the patient and the body of a patient works. So this is probably the most researching, or the most scientific research kind of a industry. Education and e-learning is also one of the industries that needs 3D artists. To be honest, this is the most prominent industry in India right now. EdTech companies are hiring 3D artists and animators in numbers in these days, and it's because these companies like Byju's and an academy, that making 3D videos for the students. And 3D videos are one of in these recent times, where when Corona wave was going on, people were studying online, or online study was going on basically, and people really needed these videos to understand without the teacher being involved here. So the boom came in, since 2 years it's been booming, the industry, and it's really hiring a lot of 3D artists and animators, to be honest. Now this is the king, I think. Virtual reality and augmented reality, this is the future. The future of the whole industry, I think, is situated in this topic. Virtual reality, 3D artists and animators contribute to the development of virtual environments, and they create 3D assets, interactive environments, realistic simulations that enhance the immersion and interactivity of in VR and AR applications, basically. So these are the key subjects of the course structure that we can discuss right here. The course structure comprises of these key subjects that you really need to learn in order to become a 3D artist or a game designer. Introduction to sketching. This is the foundational course of 3D game design, or animation, or matte painter, or a concept artist. This is something that starts for all of us. You need to learn sketching. If you don't know how to, no problem. It's not that hard, because we're not trying to be Picasso, but we're just trying to ideate our views, our thoughts into a paper, onto a paper, or to that software. Digital tools, one, we'll teach you Adobe Photoshop, we'll teach you Adobe Illustrator, design problem solving project. It's one of the matlab, how can I say, it's मतलब बेसिकली आपको एक प्रोजेक्ट बनाना होगा जिसमें आप एक प्रॉब्लम जो एक्चुअली है इस दुनिया में वो उसको सॉल्व करोगे थ्रू एन ऐप। तो ये ऐप डिजाइन भी आपको सिखाते हैं। कॉन्सेप्ट आर्ट फॉर गेम अगेन फोटोशॉप के ऊपर होगा, आपको मैट पेंटिंग सिखाई जाएगी जिसमें आप कॉन्सेप्ट आर्ट के बारे में सीखोगे। कॉन्सेप्ट आर्ट क्या होती है, कॉन्सेप्ट आर्ट कैसे बनती है, कॉन्सेप्ट आर्ट में क्या क्या एलिमेंट्स होते हैं, कहाँ यूज होता है ये वगैरह। Character design, advanced kinematics. Advanced kinematics is something that all the animation people will learn, and I mean everyone's gonna learn, but animation people are gonna be using this the most in their life. Kinematics means how things move and how the movement works, how a person walks, how a person runs, how a person jumps, how a dog jumps, how a dog runs, or how things work, basically how things work with motion. Computer animation 3D is one of the most prominent subjects where we're going to teach you Adobe Suite and Autodesk Maya as well. Autodesk Maya is the software that we're going to teach for 3D 3D modeling and 3D related stuff. Rigging and animation also comes around with 3D in Maya as well. Game engine, we're going to be teaching you Unity 3D and just a second. We're going to be teaching you Unity 3D, Unreal Engine 5, Unreal Engine 4, basics of 3D modeling, lighting and rendering. We're going to be teaching you in Autodesk Maya how to light the whole scene, how to create an environment, how to create a level for your Unreal Engine, how to render it. Rendering basically means finalizing a scene, with lighting and everything. We're also going to be teaching you sound design. VFX is something that incorporates in 3D as well, level design, UX design. Now, at the last 8th semester, we're going to be giving you an internship, or you're going to be doing an internship basically. And after that, a graduation project that you need to be doing, creating a project that summarizes what you've learned these 4 years, right? Okay. Now, who can become a game design and animation professional? This is something that's eligibility, basically eligibility criteria, career interests, desires, skills that you need, imagination, knowledge, visualization, knowledge, a passion towards designing games, playing. You need to be playing games in order to design them, because you need to be, you know, just working on with games and learning how the games work now. With this technology age, everything is changing very rapidly. So you need to be very, you know, trendy or going by the trend actually. These are basically the tools that we're going to be teaching you with ImaginXP and their course. Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, Unity 3D, Autodesk Maya, Unreal Engine, Nuke software. Nuke and Adobe After Effects are for motion designer and VFX people. Mind you, there are going to be other software as well, and there is nothing wrong with using your own softwares or something that you want to learn yourself, that you're going to be learning yourself as well. This is a course that needs your effort to achieve what you want to do. Now let's see industry leading game studios. We can see here EA, Epic Games, Bungie, Konami, PlayStation, Sony, Sega, Rockstar Games, Nintendo. These are all the people who hire game designers or animators basically. And these are the people who hire these are the studios that hire us. DreamWorks, Warner Brothers, 20th Century Fox. These are the major leading studios in VFX and movie industry, and they really need people like us to make movies. Just have a look at these slides, and we'll just move quickly throughout them. So thank you for bearing with me, and I really hope that you choose this course, because this is one of the most fun course that you can do, and this is the most lucrative course that there is in this market. and it's the core that you're really passionate about creating or playing games. If you're into movies, or if you're just a little bit curious of how these things work, you're gonna be perfect in it. Okay, so thank you so much.